Howdy, everyone. Tad Stevens on the Micro Success Secrets podcast, where we focus on business psychology and marketing and how you can use that in your business daily and long term. Today, I'm talking with Kenn Gerber at Your Amazing Life. He is a life coach, mentor, podcaster, and helping you get the life, money, and happiness that you want. Kenn, thanks for being on the show, and let me know anything I missed.
That is awesome. And it's a pleasure to be here. I'm so glad we could make this happen.
Super. So let's get going. First question I always ask people on the show is, if you could go back in time and change one business or life decision, first off, would you change it? And second off, what would you change it to if you would?
I have thought about that so many times. And, I look back on my life and it's been a roller coaster. I mean, it's gone up and down, upside down, sideways. And, half the time I didn't know where the track was leading. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, even though I would not change any of it, because all of that created who I am today. And
Yeah.
I love who I am today. And I don't want to be anyone different. And if I changed anything, I would be different.
Yep. And that, just to let you know, that is the most common answer that I get off
Oh,
that
really?
question. Yeah.
Cool.
And I think it's because of a lot of the people that I interview. They want to talk about their journey. They want to talk about what they're passionate about. And so they're happy where they are. And they understand what you just said, is that
Yep.
if they change anything, then they're going to be somebody else, and they don't know what that's going to be. And so for people that are listening, and I always say this is, don't worry about, don't worry about it.
Right.
Learn from it, keep going.
Yeah.
So kind of related to that, if you were to look back and pick out one decision that you've made that turned out just super positive. So, like it's one of those kind of decisions where, or events, decisions that, you think about everything that happened before it and after it. It's kind of like a dividing line.
Mm-hmm.
You have one of those.
Yeah, definitely. And, at the time, it sure seemed like the wrong decision. It was when I decided to go into the Marine Corps. And I mean, the Marine Corps was so tough on so many levels. And, there was ways that I did actually, fit into the mold that they were wanting to create.
Mm-hmm.
And I was away from family and, all kinds of things were going on. And so it seemed like it was a place I didn't want to be. It seemed like it was the wrong decision, but it has changed my life so dramatically and created who I was and been such a big part after that. I'm so glad that I went through it, even though it was hell.
Well, okay. Because the next question, sometimes it's the same answer, is what decision, if you went back and you looked at a decision, which decision was the scariest?
Um, wow, the scariest decision. I don't know. I actually, that one was not very scary for me.
Oh, okay.
It really, you know, it was kind of funny. I had been on a mission for my church for 2 years and came back to my parents' house, and I decided, I was trying to decide what to do with my life, and my dad
Mm-hmm.
said, well, what about the military? And I'm like, no, I'm not going into the military.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's like, well, why don't you pray about it? And I'm like, okay, I'll pray about it. And I went in and I had the strongest feeling that it was what I was supposed to do. It was the strongest feeling I had in my entire life,
Okay.
of any of the decisions. And so because of that, it made that decision quite easy, because I just knew that that was the direction I was supposed to
That
head.
was it. Okay. So if that wasn't the scariest, do you have one that was?
Scariest decisions. Oh, yes, it came to me.
Okay.
becoming a parent. That
I
was
can relate to that. I never thought about it. Oh yeah. Now that you mention that.
Yeah. I mean, when I decided, you know, when my wife and I decided that we were going to have kids, oh man, the weight of the world just dropped onto my shoulders.
I remember that. I have not thought about that since then, actually.
Yeah.
But no, go ahead. Tell your part. Then I'll throw my piece in there afterwards.
I mean, it was, you know, it just, I always have loved kids. Oh, you know, they've always been a big part of my life. And, you know, and we got married. We were married for almost a year, and we decided we were ready to start going. I mean, and just as soon as it actually happened, almost as we walked into the hospital for Ev to give birth, you know. I walked in one way and walked out the other.
And I can relate to that as well. I mean, I know that feeling, but thank you for sharing that one, because that, for me, that was awesome, because I had, and just a little background on mine is I wasn't. It was, you know, back in those days, I was full of myself. You know, I could figure this out. I knew this. You know, I'd been going to school. You know, I got a couple college degrees. You know, I had this stuff down. Oh, I'm going to be a parent. Where do I find out about that?
Yeah. There was nothing in school about that.
Not a thing that I remember anyway, but it was, yeah, no. And I remember that feeling. I do remember that feeling just like it was yesterday, but I hadn't thought about it in years, because I think, you know, after I got into it and I realized, you know, what everybody else was doing. And so, you know, it was okay. It was fine.
Yeah.
But before, yes, I would totally agree with that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I kind of, looking back, it's like, oh man, I made so many mistakes.
Yes. Know that feeling too.
I screwed up my kids. But I look at them, and my kids are both very, very amazing men. And, you know, so even though I screwed up and they pay the price in some ways, they have become the person that they can become. And you know, to me, that is where I try to accept the success is I made them into who who they could be.
Okay. So this kind of goes into the next question.
Okay.
Is when you come upon big decisions, scary decisions, and, you know, being what you do, how you help other people with their decisions, do you have a way that you do yourself and you suggest to other people on how to get through those decisions, how to keep from getting stuck, how to, you know, move through them, around them, whatever? Do you have a process or suggestions for that?
So when I set things up, I do have tools because and this is kind of interesting. When I was in my 30s, I was diagnosed with ADHD.
Okay.
My wife and I had been married about 5 years. I was like 32. And I came home and said, I've been diagnosed with ADHD. And she's like, oh, that explains so much.
I laugh because I'm the same way. Now, I haven't been diagnosed, but it's just, I get it.
Yeah. And the doctor said, you know, that I was off the charts and he had no idea how I had any semblance of a life.
Okay.
And so because of that, I have had to put in some tools. I've had to create, you know, a life that's very ordered in order for things to not fall through the cracks.
Yes.
And to keep focused. You know, my home has to be focused. Everything in my life has to be focused, or everything will get out of focus really quick. And it's the same with these decisions. I have to have this focus and I have to clean up everything around it so that the thing in front of me is the only opportunity. Because if I have things on the side, I will get sidetracked.
Yes, I totally understand that.
And so that's one of my tools is I will hyper focus on things and put everything else to the side.
Hmm.
And that is one of the things that helps me get through to where I want to be.
Okay. And you mentioned that, and I mentioned that I believe I probably would be diagnosed ADHD if I took, if I went in.
Right.
But it's funny that you say that to me because that's what I do. That's how I
Mhm.
get through my day. If I
Yeah.
don't, I'll be going off on this, especially online now. I mean,
Oh,
I'm sitting here. I've got three screens. I can get way distracted real easy. It doesn't,
yeah.
it takes a couple of notifications and this comes up and I'm gone. But
Yeah.
that is one of the things that I have developed over the years as well, is just
Yeah.
to focus on one thing and get through it. And it works for me.
Yeah. Well, and this world is so loud. I mean,
Oh God! Now compared to when we were younger, when I
yes,
was a kid, oh, it's huge compared to what it was.
it's huge. I mean, we wouldn't see, would spend outside all day outside and wouldn't see any commercials or ads at all.
Yep.
When, as kids, and there isn't a kid on this earth nowadays that doesn't get bombarded with those.
Oh, and I think I've mentioned this on a show before, but this is a great opportunity. Is that when my kids were 5 and 6? So this is 2005. When my kids were 5 and 6, I was looking up some stuff for marketing, and I ran across a statistic that said that children that age are exposed to over 3,000 promotional messages a day.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other day I was talking to somebody about it, and I looked it up again, and it's up to like 7,500 now for
Wow.
for young kids. For
For
you
young
and
kids,
I
yeah.
that are online doing business, doing whatever it is we do, it's over 10,000.
Yep.
And you think about it, oh no, that's no way. There's no way I see that. Yeah, you do,
You
because
do.
you look at, I mean, logos here, copyright messages there, they're all over the place. And we've kind of, I think, in our minds, we believe that we've toned them out, but they're still there.
Oh, yeah. There's a reason
So,
people pay for them.
oh, absolutely. And so, what you brought up is the hyper focus. I like the way you phrase that. I like that term. But that is one of the ways that I cut through it all.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to quiet all the noise out of your life because the noise will take it over if you let it.
And it does. And you can tell. I can tell when it grabs me, like when I got my phone and I'm looking up something on my phone, or you walk out and you see people with their heads down, fixing to walk out in the middle of the street because they're looking at their phone and not paying attention to what they're doing. But yes, no, hyper focus. I think it's important. I know it's important for me. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So to wrap up a little bit, um, and I always like to close with this question. When you, well, let me put it another way. Why do you do what you do? And what I mean by that is, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What are you passionate about after the money, or the fame, the whatever it is that after a while would get old?
Hmm.
Why do you get out of the bed in the morning and do this stuff?
So for me, it has always been relationships. I am driven by having relationships. And I mean, I do think, I think I've talked to you about this before, but my wife and I, we've housed over 30 kids in our 29 years of marriage. We lost count after 30.
Awesome.
But they were Proctor, foreign exchange, foster. I mean, just we've done it all. And, most of those, it was not about money because they don't come with money.
Right, they're not going to come with a large sack of cash.
No, but it was about the relationships that I got to build. And that is what I love about the life coaching. I love building relationships. I love getting to know people and walking through who they are and who they can be,
Mm-hmm.
and helping them get to from where they are to where they're happy. I mean, there are so many people who are struggling, who they don't feel like themselves. They
Right.
they're cutting to hurt themselves because they want to feel. They want to be in
Something. Yeah.
charge of what they feel. And all those things are they're human emotions that they're going through, and they're just normal problems that they're having to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them don't have the tools to move through those, where they can have the life that they want and feel good about themselves. And it is so amazing to be able to give somebody some tools and watch them be able to smile for the first time in years.
Yeah.
Watch them feel good about who they are. And I mean, there was this one lady, and she had started cutting herself, and she had two girls, and her girls saw her cutting, and she
Oh.
and and they were, and the youngest was like 8 and 12, I think, were the
Mm-hmm.
age of her girls. And she's like, if I don't do something really quick, they're going to pick this up. And I don't want to put this on them. And she did. She was able to change her life. She was able to create a relationship after that, and get married. I mean, she was able to create the things that she wanted, instead of living out of fear and not being herself.
Mm-hmm.
And
I,
that is what gets me out of bed.
and yes, okay, that is a great answer. Thank you. That and but that's why, that's what I want to bring out in the show, is that there's more to it than just the definition of success that most people ascribe to. And
Yeah.
when I talk to people like you and like other, um, a lot of coaches have this same thing. Is it goes along those same lines? Is that there is more to it? There is a personal inner success that we all strive for.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what you just mentioned, she found it. I mean, she was getting close to bottoming out, it sounds like, but yet she was able to turn it around, and that's what she went for. And the fact that you are in this, I mean, to me, this is just great stuff, and this is what I want people to take away from the show, is that find your passion, whatever it is.
Yep.
Look for that. Don't focus on the money. The money will come. I know that's kind of trite and a cliche, and people say it a lot, but I've seen it to be true. So I want to put that out there, document it, that you know there, and because you're not the only person that said this,
Mm-hmm.
that there's more to it. There's a passion. There's an inner success that people strive for, and that's what gets people out of bed in the morning. It is not the money. I have yet to have somebody on this show, I've done over 100 episodes, and I have yet to have somebody say, I want to be rich. Hadn't had that answer yet. And I don't know if that I ever will.
Yep.
So thanks. Really appreciate that. Need to start wrapping up now. But before we do, is there anything that you'd like to leave the listeners and viewers with that might benefit them, ways to contact you, anything like that?
Sure. So I can be contacted at uh, Ken at creatingyouramazing.life. And my website has all my podcasts and lots of other information. And it is creatingyouramazing.life. And then if anyone wants to contact me, they can contact me through Calendly. And that is, let's see. Well,
I've got it. I'll make sure it's on the show notes and in the
yeah,
description so they
yeah,
can get that. But no, I'll make sure that's there.
yep. I'm also on LinkedIn all the time, so that's another good place to contact me.
Okay.
So,
Make sure that link is there too as well.
yeah.
All righty. Ken, thank you very much. Excellent, excellent, excellent interview. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks
You're welcome.
everybody for listening. Um, really appreciate y'all being here as well. Have a safe and productive week, and be the very, very best at whatever it is that you're doing. Until next time, this is Tad Stevens with Micro Success Secrets. Bye for now.